Okay, hello again, everybody. Today we're going to cover section 11.2, which I'm going to show you guys how to make a box whisker plot summary, which just is another way to look at your data in terms of basically the data values to each other. If that makes sense, you'll kind of see what I mean when when we do our examples. So, what is a box whisker plot? So it's basically a graph, a linear type graph, where we cut off certain data values at certain places so we can kind of get a better understanding of where the majority of our data is set at. Like it might be set toward a higher end, like there might be more numbers in, say, the 20s or 30s, and less maybe in the teens or the single digits, or maybe there's more toward the teens and the single digits and less toward the 20s and 30s, or maybe it's all kind of evenly spread throughout. Maybe you have a good chunk of data toward the middle, and then as you look at numbers bigger and smaller, it's kind of less and less and less, and it might be a nice evenly distributed data, okay? And if ever you take statistics, a lot of these things I'm saying will make a little more sense. I'm just trying to give the best explanation I can now as to what's going on here. But in any event, I'm just going to show you guys how we actually draw a box whisker plot. So the first thing we have to do is we have to find what is called, and I'm going to write this down, the 5-number summary. Okay, so the 5-number summary, there's basically 5 numbers that you need to locate, okay? The first two are easy. It's just your highest number and your lowest number. So from this data, we can see that our lowest number is 3, and we can see that our highest data is 17. And by the way, this is the number of hits in a round of hacky sack. And notice what I did was I took all this data, and the first thing I did was I wrote the numbers out in order from lowest to highest. That's the first thing you want to do, okay? And then the next number we're actually going to find is the median. And we already talked about how to find the median. Remember, the median is the number right in the middle, right? So you start from your two ends, and you just work your way in until you find the median. And luckily, we have an odd data set, so we can see that our median is 7, okay? And then you got to find two other terms that I haven't shown you guys yet, and that is what are called the quartiles. You have the first quartile and the third quartile. And what those are just the medians of each half of the data. So if you take all the data that's below the median, so here's all of our data values below our median of 7, we're going to figure out the median of these numbers. So that just means we find the number in the middle here. Now notice that below the median we have an even number of data sets. We only have 4. And remember what you do when you have an even number. You have to add the middle two together and divide by 2. So in this case we have to add together 3 plus 4, and that's 7. And then 7 divided by 2 should be 3.5. So I'm just going to write in 3.5 or 3.5. And again, we call that our first quartile. I'm just going to call it Q sub 1. Okay, it's sometimes called the first quartile, or sometimes it can be called the lower quartile. Okay, that means the same thing. Okay, then we do the same thing for the upper half of the data, right? So look at all the data that's above your median. Okay, and here's all our data above. And again, find the median of that, which is the middle number. Once again, since we have an even number, we got to find halfway between 11 and 15, which is half of 26 is 13. So 13, we call that the third quartile, or the upper quartile is another thing we call that. Now, some of you might be wondering, okay, so if this is the first quartile and this is the third quartile, then what's the second quartile? Well, your median is actually your second quartile, okay, in case any of you were wondering about that. Okay, so these are the 5 numbers, and that's the first thing you'll be asked to do when you guys are doing this on the homework is identify the lowest number, the highest number, and then I would find the median next, and then the quartiles, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to plot these on a box whisker plot. So what you want to do, and when you guys do the homework, the graph part will actually kind of be provided for you already. So I went ahead and just drew a little number line here, and I want to make sure I include all the data values that are included here. So I just decided to start at 3, and I just counted by 2s until I got to 17. Okay, sometimes you might want to count by 2s, maybe 3s, maybe 5s. It just kind of depends on your data. But like I said, when you guys are working these out on the homework later, they'll really have this set out for you so you'll know where to put your numbers. So what you want to plot first, and again, it's kind of up to you how you want to start it. But what I do is I plot first the median, which we see as 7. So right here at 7, I'm going to draw just a little line there. And then I'm going to do the same thing at the first quartile and the third quartile. So the first quartile is 3.5, so that's just a little bit past 3. It's not halfway, because remember, this would be 4. So 3.5 would be probably here, okay? And then the other quartile at 13, which we can see 13 is right here. And then what you want to do is you want to take these numbers and you want to box them up like that. This is the box portion, okay, with the median, the first quartile, and the third quartile. And then what you want to do is you want to put dots at your lowest number and your highest number, right? Our lowest number was 3, so I'll put a dot where the 3 is. And our highest number was 17. So I'll put a dot where the 17 is, and then you just draw a line to each dot, and the lines that I'm drawing, these are the whiskers, okay? So all of this data has a lot of relevance, and like I said, if any of you guys ever take statistics, they go into detail more as to what applications these can be used for, but basically it kind of separates out the middle part of your data from the more extreme parts of your data. Like the majority of our data is really within the box, and the median is kind of skewed more to the left. Notice that it's not exactly in the middle, but it's closer to the left, so this is kind of what we would refer to as a I'm trying to think if we would consider this left skewed or right skewed, but that's no big deal right now for you guys because you guys won't be asked that. But notice that the median itself is closer to the left than the right, and also notice that we have, very few data values that are outside of that toward the left, but we have quite a few that go toward the right. There's quite a big spread, between our upper quartile and our highest number, which means there's quite a jump here. Okay. And by the way, this part here is referred to as the inner quartile range, all the numbers from 3.5 to 13. But again, those are terms you don't need to know. All you guys will need to know how to do is just how to do the graph. And when you guys are doing the graph on the homework, they'll have it, because I looked at the homework earlier, they pretty much have it set up. You just have to move the whiskers and the boxes to the appropriate numbers on the number line. So really for you guys, it won't be that bad. If you want to map it out on paper first, go ahead. It might be a good idea to do that, but that's all you guys will have to do. But make sure you first get the 5-number summary, because they will ask, what are the 5 numbers? The lowest number, first quartile, median, third quartile, highest number. Okay? All right, so we have another example that I want you guys to try, and all the work is going to be down below because we used up too much room. But pause the video and see if you can do this one, goals in a hockey game. See if you can find the 5-number summary, and then see if you can graph it on make a box whisker plot on a number line. Okay, pause the video here and then give it a try. All right, so I am hoping that you guys were able to create a box whisker plot for this set of data. So the first thing I did, again, write all the numbers out in order from smallest to biggest, which I did. And let's identify the smallest number and the biggest number. So again, this is the lowest, the 3. And our biggest is 9. Our highest is 9. Next, let's figure out the median. So let's work our way to the middle to get the median. And it looks like 6 is our median. Once again, we have an odd number. I'm just going to double check that real quick. Sometimes I doubt myself when I'm working. Yes. So the 6 here is the median. And again, that's also the second quartile, if you prefer to call it that. And then we look at all the data values below the median, which are all these here. And once again, it's an even number, so we got to add the middle 2. Well, the middle 2 are 5 plus 5, which is 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 5 is going to be our quartile 1. And then same thing for the upper half of the data. All the values above the median, find the halfway point there. That's halfway between the 7 and the 8. And that's going to be 7.5, right? If you add 7 plus 8 and divide by 2. So that's going to be our quartile 3. Okay, so we found our 5-number summary. So now all we need to do is plot it. So let's see, we'll start with the median right here. There's the box portion for the median, or the line for the median at 6. Quartile 1 is 5, so that's right here. And then quartile 3 is 7.5, so that's going to be, the way I drew this out, that would be halfway here between this 7 and 8. So there's the box portion of our of our box whisker plot, with the lowest number being 3 and the highest number being 9. So we put our dots at those places, and then we just draw the whiskers from there. Okay, now if we compare this one to the one we did above, this one is actually closer to being what we would call evenly distributed, meaning the median would be closer to right in the middle. It's still more to the left, but it's, it's not as to the left as the previous example. It's almost to the middle. And notice the whiskers are almost pretty even as well. There's a little bit more whisker on this side than there is on this side. So this one is, I would say, almost evenly distributed, but not quite. If we had some larger samples, maybe it might almost get there. I don't know. But okay, so good job if you got it. So this is what you guys will be doing today. There is an assignment posted on Adia, so go ahead and begin that. And if you have any questions for me, please ask when I return. And I'll see you guys in the next lesson. Goodbye.